You ever have one of those moments, a gut feeling, a snap judgment that just feels right, and then it turns out to be spot on? Well, today we're diving into exactly that, the incredible power of thinking without thinking. We're going to see how those decisions, the ones made in the blink of an eye, can sometimes be even more powerful than months and months of careful, logical analysis. So let me ask you this. Can a feeling that lasts just 2 seconds, really, truly, beat 14 months of hard science? It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, let's jump into a story that puts this exact question to the test. Okay, so picture this. It's the mid-1980s, and the Getty Museum gets a shot at buying a super rare Greek statue called a kouros. Now, they were smart. They didn't just jump on it, no. They launched this exhaustive 14-month investigation. They had geologists confirm it was ancient, they dug into its history, and finally, feeling totally confident in all their data, they bought it and unveiled it to the world with a huge celebration. I mean, listen to the Getty's curator at the time. She said it embodied all the radiant energy of the adolescence of Western art. That's how sure they were. The science checked out, the historical documents checked out, everything was perfect. The case, it seemed, was completely closed. But then, something really weird started to happen. Art experts, the best in the world, started coming to see the statue. And in the first 2 seconds, literally the blink of an eye, they didn't feel that triumph. They felt that something was just wrong. Their gut was practically screaming fake. One of these experts, Angelos Delavorius, said he felt a wave of intuitive repulsion. He couldn't explain it logically, not at first. He just had this powerful, immediate feeling. Another expert just said it didn't look right. They didn't have pages and pages of data. They just had this feeling. And here is the absolute kicker. The experts were right. The statue was a brilliant, but modern forgery. Those 14 months of science had been totally fooled by some faked documents and a very, very clever forger. But that 2-second gut feeling, it saw the truth right away. So what is this superpower? Well, author Malcolm Gladwell calls it thin slicing. It's this incredible ability our unconscious mind has to find meaningful patterns from just a tiny, thin slice of experience. It lets us make these really sophisticated judgments, like instantly. And this isn't just something for art experts, not at all. Take psychologist John Gottman. He can watch a married couple talk for just a few minutes, and he can predict with 90% accuracy whether they'll still be together in 15 years. It's unbelievable. He's thin slicing every little interaction, seeing the patterns that their words might be trying to hide. But, this incredible power, it has a shadow. It has a dark side. Because our rapid cognition, our gut feelings, can also lead us completely and disastrously wrong. Sometimes our snap judgments get completely hijacked by information that's totally irrelevant. We end up focusing on the shiny surface, and we miss what's actually important underneath. This phenomenon has a name, and it's called the Warren-Harding error. So look at the contrast here. On one hand, you've got an art expert. Their thin slicing was based on a lifetime of deep experience. On the other hand, you have the political bosses who chose Warren Harding to be president of the United States. Why? Simply because he looked presidential. He was tall, handsome, had a great voice. Turns out his presidency is now seen as one of the absolute worst in American history. The Warren Harding era is what happens when we let some superficial stereotype, like what a leader is supposed to look like, completely overwhelm our judgment. We are unconsciously blinded to what really matters, and it's still happening. For example, studies show that a wildly disproportionate number of Fortune 500 CEOs are well over 6 feet tall. And here's the really uncomfortable truth. We all have these unconscious associations swimming around in our heads. They're shaped by our culture, our life experiences, the media, and they often go in the complete opposite direction of what we consciously believe and value. There's actually a test that shows just how deep these hidden biases go. It's called the implicit association test. It measures how quickly we connect different concepts. And get this, more than 80% of people who've taken it find it easier to link positive words with white faces than with black faces. Now, this doesn't mean they're consciously racist. What it means is that their unconscious mind has absorbed all these cultural messages that link whiteness with good. So what does this mean? Are we just doomed to be puppets of our unconscious biases? Well, no, not at all. The key isn't to stop making snap judgments. That's impossible. The key is to learn how to manage them, how to control them. The real solution here is to create structures for our spontaneity. We can actually build frameworks that let the positive power of our intuition shine while protecting it from all the bad stuff, from bias and from irrelevant information. Okay, check this out. Cook County Hospital in Chicago, right? They were having a really hard time accurately diagnosing heart attacks in the ER. Doctors were using all their experience and intuition, but they were still getting it wrong way too often. So they created a simple algorithm, basically a checklist that focused on just 4 key factors. The result? This simple structure was 70% better at identifying patients who weren't having a heart attack, and it was much safer for those who were. Sometimes less information actually leads to a better decision. And one of the most powerful structures we can use is also one of the simplest things you can possibly imagine: a screen. Back in the 1980s, a trombonist named Abby Conant auditioned for the world-famous Munich Philharmonic. Now, to make sure it was totally fair, the first round of auditions was held blind. The musicians played behind a screen, so they were completely anonymous. So, Abby Conant plays her piece. The second she finishes, the legendary music director Sergio Celibidache shouts, "That's who we want." Just like that. His thin slice, based only on the sound of the music, was instant and decisive. Then they asked the winner to step out from behind the screen. But when they saw that Abby Conant was a woman, everything changed. Celibidache's powerful, unbiased first impression was instantly corrupted by his own prejudice. He actually told her later, "You know the problem? We need a man for the solo trombone." But here's the thing. The screen had already done its job. It created objective proof of her incredible talent. After a legal battle that lasted a decade, she finally secured her position. She was saved by that simple structure. She was saved by the screen. And that leaves us with a final question for all of us. Our unconscious mind is this powerful, mysterious computer, right? It's capable of brilliant insights and really destructive biases. So the question is, where in our own lives, in who we hire, in our relationships, in our everyday judgments, where do we need to put up a screen to make sure we're actually listening with our ears and not just judging with our eyes?